Second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from last meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Payroll, I've got the last, I'm short 1 week, I gotta get this week's done for you, Chris, there's
Okay.
those. Bills to be paid, Francis?
Yep, we've got 3 additions to put on there. These aren't on, Cheddar's not on, your guys' is here, is it? I didn't even look.
No,
Okay.
no, they're not.
Card Cheddar's for $75. Max Bloom for $75. And Honorable Mayor Steve Dubengay for $1,200 for his mayoral duties. Now that one you can question, I don't care.
The other 2 are for tearing out the floor upstairs. And let me just say, we had 3 councilmen there. Thank you for coming, guys. You guys did a great job. Larry Steinkamp was there. Rick was there. Hope I didn't forget anybody. Max and Carter came and helped. Got it done in a couple hours, and then we pounded nails for another hour.
Sorry.
That's
I was in Calumet, so.
it went well. Thank you for everybody coming. You guys did a good job.
I'd accept the motion for the approval with the additions that Franny has described.
Are there any questions?
What's the total, Brian?
I can't get mine.
New total's 100,734.31.
No.
Yeah.
Did you put the library bills on there too?
Yeah, they're on here.
Those
I
are
don't think-
additions too.
They're not in here though.
Right, those are
They're not up there
additions
though,
too.
no.
No, they're
Oh,
not
I'm
in front of.
sorry.
They're not in front of the guy, so we should
That's my fault.
say it
Yeah, okay.
at least.
Baker and Taylor for $340. Another Baker and Taylor for $76.14. Demco for $239.07. Guidepost for $17.74. Center Age 73.47. Ingram is 28.37. Jody for materials is $14.96, and double play is $48.49.
And sorry, Franny, but what was the total again?
Total it was $100,734.31.
21?
31.
31.
Any questions? Concerns? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Make that motion. Or second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to approve the bills to be paid with the additions that Francis has described. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay.
Can I talk about one of those now?
Yes.
Steve's?
Yeah. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to get that check out this month, so, no. IMWCA right there in the middle of that, $911. The guy to do our, site audit, I guess you wanna call it, was just here 3 weeks ago, and, he told me that when we started coming down in our, workman's comp, we started at about $15,000 a year. This is in 2008, 2009. That's what our workman's comp was costing us. And since then, we've been injury-free, and now our workman's comp's cost us $8,860 a year. So, thanks to Rick and Daryl and the guys,
Kudos.
we've been injury-free, and so our workman's comp's come down a long ways. So,
Keep up the good work, Rick. Myron?
Yeah, at least Myron's got the harness on the hard hat when he's on the truck.
I'm not.
Very impressed.
Oh, I'm not gonna say that.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, Chris, you wanna bring us an update from, is Joe got an update for us?
Yeah, he does. I don't know where I put it though. might be in my, basically it's an email from Joe. Joe is gonna be here later on. He's had a meeting, in Holstein, I think it was. He's gonna be here later on, but basically what he said was, Dave King called the manufacturer of the meter. That's what they've been waiting for right now, is a meter, down there. That's gonna be here later on this week. And then, Dave kinda said, pray for dry weather so they can get some work done, basically.
Yeah.
Is how he put it. So Joe will offer more than that when he comes, but that's what he told me in the email, was that later on this week we'll have the meter here, so we'll be able to get going. So
Okay.
you guys can think about your questions between now and then.
Yeah, we'll just table that until Joe gets here, and then you can have your questions ready for him when he gets here. We'll move into new business. Discuss and approve city support for SCTD grant from library project. Chris, do you want to open up, or do you want to go to one of the libraries?
Yeah, this is something that we do every year for the SCTD grant. The SCTD, actually it's the SCEF, asks for city support of whatever grant that's being filed, and so the library's got a pretty big project that they're putting together, and they just got, what'd you guys get, 18,000?
$418.62.
Oh, well, okay, $18,400 from Gil Renzi. And so now they're gonna ask for some for SCEF, and you guys wanna go ahead and
Joe, do you want to give us
tell us a little bit
Sure.
about
Sure.
what it is?
Well, first we wanted to thank you for your support, always supporting the library. We really appreciate that. And we are looking forward to a big project here. It's approximately a $35,000 project to renovate the main floor of the library and to basically to add a young adult area. We don't have a young adult area right now, so we thought we'd rearrange things. And I actually applied for a library building consultant, and it was a $3,000 fee, which we received funds for that, so that was covered from the LSTA grant, and that was for $3,000. So we had a library building consultant come, and he did a space needs assessment, which basically he looked at our library and he came up with 4 plans on how he would redesign it so that we could update and create a young adult area. And so he's come up with the plan that we picked, and then we had to, we're gonna redo some of the lights because we don't have the same lights throughout the building, they're all different. And when we redesign it, we're gonna have to recarpet, because we'll have some areas that don't have carpet that are gonna need to be carpeted. And it's been about 30 years since we've had carpet, so.
Tell me about this young adult. What will that consist of?
Well, basically, we already have the books, we just always had considered them as juvenile. So our juvenile was from like age 10 to 20. So we're gonna break them in half, and we're gonna say like from ages 10 to 13 is gonna be juvenile, and then like 13 to 20, or 13 to 18 is gonna be young adult. And we'll break those books out and put them in another part of the library. So they're just books like, like the Twilight series, or something that probably shouldn't really be a juvenile book. They should be for like an older child to read. We're just gonna separate them out.
Well, rearranging them.
A little rearranging.
Will you need more shelving and stuff then?
Yeah,
or?
and that's all in the bid.
Okay.
Yep, he came up with the different shelving units we're gonna need, and we're gonna get rid of some things and bring in some new things and just rearrange. We're gonna move our front desk. We're not gonna be around the corner, we're gonna be straight in front. When you walk in the door, it's gonna be right in front of the vault, and we're gonna use the vault. We're gonna open it up, and it's gonna be our local history genealogy room. And so the public will be able to use that too.
Did he give you recommendations on how to separate the books, or is that
Yeah.
going to be totally up to you?
There's lists. It's called Young Adult Library Services List, and then there's Juvenile. So there's, and if you go on Amazon.com, you look at the book, a lot of times it'll have ages 7 to 10, or 13 to 15, or 13 to 18.
So we can
So
do
we're
that
gonna
in-house?
divide it out.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that in-house then,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And basically the money is gonna be for the lights and the carpet and the new shelving and a new front desk, and it'll come to about $35,000. So we have over half with the Gil Renzi grant, and we're hoping to get another good portion from the Sac County. So anyway, I didn't know if you're interested in looking at the plans, but This was his plan that he came up with, that we picked. It was 4, and he just came up with how he would rearrange it, and we picked that one, because we liked it. He's got everything laid out according to how many inches everything has to be apart, you know, for the handicap accessibility and things like that, so. Anyway,
Jody, how much you trying to apply for then?
well, we've got probably about 16,000, 15 to 16,000 left. We're gonna apply for half. I don't know how much we'll get, but we're gonna try for half.
Yeah.
Where you shooting for the other half at then?
Through the Sac County endowment, and then the other half would be out of our now account.
Oh, okay, okay.
There should be enough, you got quite a bit of now count on you.
Yeah, it should cover the other half.
You got what, another 18,000 now count?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's about 37.
37,000 total then now?
30, about 35,000 total, and I got 18,000 for
You got
this
about
grant.
37 in the account though.
I do?
Yeah.
Really?
Is that not factoring in?
Oh, I guess with the 18,000 added on there, the
Yeah.
grant, yeah. I was gonna say, wow, where did that
So
come
you
from?
really got enough to do the project without, if you don't get
Yeah.
the grant, you
We'll
could
still
do it.
finish it, yeah. We're just hoping we'll get some funds so we won't have to spend it all.
So you're gonna have to
Go
deplete
down to
that
zero.
account.
Yeah. We do take money out of it. I mean, we just carpeted the storeroom, that was $400 and some, and we paid for it out of our account. So if we didn't have anything in there, then our hands are tied for,
How's that basement working then? You doing real good on that one?
yeah, we haven't had any water problems down there at all.
You using that quite a bit then?
Yeah.
Good. Questions, council? Concerns? Now's the time to ask.
As far as the support, it's just a letter of
Yeah.
support.
I mean, basically all we're doing is saying, yeah, we think it's a good idea that, that you guys are applying for this grant and the project, and yeah, we're not offering any monetary support.
And that you'll be our fiscal agent.
Right.
Write the bill, write the checks, and then the only thing we'd ask is if Rick and his co-workers could take out our desk and our shelves behind the desk, they're attached. And we aren't gonna start the project till January, and Chris thought by then should be able to do that.
Rick, you wanna help?
January maybe.
You wanna help?
Depends on how much snow he's gotta remove.
Yeah.
We're just gonna take it out, and the shelves behind it, yeah. Because we're having a new
Is
desk
it being
built.
saved for anything?
It'll be
No.
what?
Is it being saved for anything?
Unless the city can use it. So that's all we were asking from the city.
You want a motion for that, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion for support for this.
I'd make a motion to do so.
Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the city support for the SETD grant for the library project. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Thanks, gals. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna change that to SCEF,
Yeah, it's-
cause it's actually Sac County Endowment Fund. It doesn't have really anything to do with SETD.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That,
So,
yeah.
I'm gonna change that in the minutes.
Recorder's not in here, so you should be all right.
He's not here, but he's pretty close.
We got somebody sitting in the corner, but he.
Thanks, gals.
He didn't want to record, but he.
I forgot my pen.
Discuss and deny Goberson Smith change, excuse me.
Oh no, we're not
Discuss
gonna
and-
deny the change order. We're not gonna change deny the change
Next one
order.
down is a credit too then.
We want a lot of credits, I think we need.
Discuss and approve Goberson Smith change order number 3, crediting for the city of the 2 items. You wanna explain a little bit?
You betcha. The 2 items that we are getting credit for, the first one is seating. That was done basically by a local here, I think whoever rents it, or
Yeah.
that place.
A guy here in town, so.
So that's been taken care of, and which is actually a sizable credit. That was $7,000 of the credit. And then the other credit is on the north manhole. We had in our plans and specs to put in a little 2-foot stub out for a future addition if it was to ever go on. That was missed when they did it, they installed it. We discovered that when we did our final inspection. So they gave the city $1,000 credit in lieu of having to dig that back up and put it back in, which would be money for you to do that in the future.
Yeah.
So, and that's if it ever goes on.
Right.
So,
And if that's all they charge later, that'd be a good deal.
yeah. Yeah, so they,
which won't be, it
Well,
won't.
yeah, but that should be in the contract.
That should be in the contract.
yeah, so we're taking that, they gave $1,000 credit for that, which is that's a good figure for a connection like that, so. Yeah, so total change order is a negative $8,000 on the project.
Even?
Even, yep. The seating was 7,000 and the credit for was 1,000 for the sanitary staff.
So that's really easy, guys. All we have to do is approve that and get $8,000, so.
You pay 8,000 less.
Yes.
Right. That'll happen very often.
No, it's, well, and yeah, that worked out well, so.
So we need a motion on that, Dave?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we accept the change order for the credit. Number 3, cutting to the city for 2 items.
Second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to accept a change order from Goberson Smith on change order number 3, crediting the city for $8,000 for 2 items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Okay, now here's where we get to deny. Discuss and approve Goberson Smith pay
Request order
request.
number 6 is
Number
$8,000, just kind of a no-brainer, you know, just, it's kind of worse, but I'm sure he's gonna tell me something different, isn't he?
This pay request 6 is for basically the items they had left to complete after they did all the paving. The one item that remained was water services, those are now all installed. And that's what this pay app is for, is to pay for those services.
I've seen that.
Yep,
I've
so
seen.
that total amount, we do still have retainage on this project in the amount of just under $20,000, $19,895. So if you guys know of any issues that need to be completed yet, we've been through the subdivision, everything looks good.
You guys have been through it?
Yep. It
So
looks-
Rick and I probably
Yep,
need to
if
go
you
up and
guys
do a
know-
final walkthrough.
Yep.
The city needs to walk through it and make
Yep,
sure that there's.
absolutely. And if everything's good on your end, then we will go ahead and release retainage at your meeting next month
Okay.
and close that project out. Obviously, I think I've seen you guys still doing electric and gas up there, but weather probably hasn't been too cooperative for that, so.
Most of the seating did well, but the weather hasn't been real cooperative for that either,
Yeah, it's
so.
just, it's gonna take a while to,
Do you wanna do that, or do you wanna wait until you guys walk through it to make sure that there's nothing that needs to be completed?
Tonight, we're not doing anything with the final.
yeah,
We're
tonight's pay
keeping the
app,
$19,000
Yes.
retainage tonight.
tonight's pay app is for $8,140.07.
And
That's
that's
to
for
pay them for the water services.
Water services that they put
That
in.
are installed.
That's all we got left. Except
Yes,
for that.
and except for the retainage that we hold back, we always hold back 5%, and that comes in just under 20,000. You still owe them that. If the city's good with everything out there, then we'll
That'll be
release
next
that
meeting
next
then.
month.
That's
Right.
correct, that's correct,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
And that'll
So
start,
all you're doing is pay request number 6,
pay
which
request
is
number 6
is
tonight.
8,000.
$140.07. Yes, that is correct.
Motion, please? Unless there's any questions or concerns.
Questions, absolutely, questions.
Questions or
comments?
concerns?
I have one.
Yes, Rick?
Are we gonna receive maps of all them taps and all that stuff on footages?
Yeah, we will create as-built drawings for the whole
Okay. Do
subdivision.
you know when we'll get them?
I usually have the guys work on them on rain days. I think yours are, they might even be done. I'll have to check,
Okay.
because we've had some rain days.
No, no.
Will we just get one copy, or will there be 2 copies?
I can give you as many copies as you'd like.
I'd prefer to have 3.
3.
That's kind of what I thought you'd say, Rick.
And I've been in the habit of emailing a PDF file, so I'll email Chris a digital copy, and if you need 20, you can print them.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of trouble over the years of getting copies of what we get done.
Yep. We always create as-built drawings, and we'll email them to you.
That's that retainage deal.
You want 3 hard copies, Rick? Or 2 gonna be
Yep.
enough with what Chris has got? What Chris will get?
He's gonna email it to me and then I can print whatever we need
Okay.
printed, so.
Yep.
Okay, is that okay with you, Rick?
Would it be small ones or bigger ones?
11 by 17. You want a big set?
I'd like to have a big set.
Okay, we can print a big
If we
set,
could, sometime when you come with.
Send me the 11 by 17 and
and
then,
then print you a couple big sets.
yeah.
Works for me.
The reason why, most of the time I don't have these in the field.
And one thing on that tape there right by Fast Freddy's or Freddy's there, yeah, you think that berm's enough there, we won't have to cement her out or do anything? We had a lot of rain and so far it's held.
Right, what
We're
I
very
saw
happy.
looked like it was high enough. Basically, it just needs to be high enough to direct the overflow to the street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we haven't
it-
quite got that finished up
it-
in that section.
Right, and I don't think you guys have finalized it yet.
It
but
does that though.
It does that right now?
It does that.
Then I
Don't go to
think,
the street.
I was up there one night when it was raining.
because I remember when we
Almost.
talked, that's not a big enough pipe to handle it all, but it takes 90% of those rains.
We got 3 inches the other night in 45 minutes and it handled that
It
pretty
filled
well.
that up and then went to the street.
No,
No, never did make.
Oh, it didn't
never
even
filled
make
it up.
Okay.
No, one night after it got, right after it got done, we got 2.5 inches, and I was up there, and what was landing on that was coming to the
Right to the
street.
street.
Everything in the channel was going down.
So it didn't even handle that,
If
so
we
that's
keep the
good.
trash out, I think we're fine.
You gotta keep it clean, absolutely. But we have to have those bars in there, you're gonna get kids in there, so
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you just have to keep it clean.
Any other questions? Concerns? I will take a motion to accept, change, or, pay request number 6 from Goverson Smith.
Also move.
Second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to accept Goverson Smith's pay request number 6. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion's good.
Dave, explain to these guys just a little bit. Our contract called for somewhere around $60,000, and you guys are up to around 63. Explain to us a little bit why that's higher than the contract.
Construction services are billed out hourly, so it's more of an estimate on what it's gonna take to do the work. If it drags out a little longer, the contractor requires a little more staking. I think when I came up to do another site visit to look at the drainage, rerouting that drainage ditch, that was another additional trip. Just little extra items, I guess. 3,000 out of 60, to me, it's not a huge overrun, but is that a big concern with the council?
Well, the contractors were 60?
The contract is for 60, but we bill out construction services per the contract hourly. So it could be less, it could be more, depending on how much the contractor and the city requires the services. So in this case, we're over by 3,000 because we billed a little more.
Which, yeah,
Which was the extra trips up here.
3,000 is not a big deal when you're talking about 60,000, but anytime you go over on anything, it just,
Yeah.
pinches
Yeah, I'd like
us,
to know, 'cause you got the
pinches us a
contract.
little bit more, so.
And it is in the contract that our construction services are hourly. I'll take one of each.
You get one?
I get one of each in here. So,
Yeah, that's what I wanted, is an explanation, and,
So the total is 63.
yeah, whatever number Chris has, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, and it's not exactly 63, but it gets close to that.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming up, Dave.
Thanks, sir.
I didn't see this one. I'm gonna interrupt right here, and we're gonna jump a little off category right now. Joe happened to walk in, so we're gonna jump back to Joe. You wanna give us a little update, Joe?
Joe, I did talk to them about the meter, but I left your email, I think, in my office.
Yeah, and I forgot to bring a copy of it too, but it's more or less just said, hey,
Chris keeps.
Nick,
Talk for
this-
a little bit.
yeah,
See if I can
this
find
week
it.
he's figuring on getting that flow meter,
With this payment, so that.
and then get back in here and put it in, and then he's hoping down here on the well to try to get that berm built up, and he's saying,
That'll work.
if you can find some,
Thank you very much.
Dry dirt.
yeah, if you can find some dry dirt,
And you can
Make
find
noise.
that.
cause I'm sure that pile that he's got down there probably soaked clear through.
Because a lot of tiles are starting to run now, so it's getting down there.
But that's basically in that email, he said he's hoping by the end of next week, he'd have some of this other stuff buttoned up, but there again, it depends if they get a bunch, if we get this rain again, he's gonna have trouble hauling dirt again, so.
So we're just real close?
Right,
Joe?
and that, he was thinking at one point, they told him that flow meter was gonna be October 6th before they'd even get it. But it happens that he talked to him and they'll be able to get it this week. I can't remember if he said Tuesday or something like that. Yeah, it wasn't gonna be here until October 6th unless he paid an extra $400 to get it here quick, but now it's coming next week, he said. The controls should be here next week as well. And if we get some dry days to do the well pad, hopefully the pad and the flow meter will be done by sometime next week.
So that should almost close us out then.
Correct.
Well, we gotta do the inside of the
Right,
pump
inside of
house.
the pump house yet, they were gonna change out,
Yeah,
redo
those
the
valves,
plumbing
and
for that.
yep.
But, and I don't know if he's referring to doing it at the same time, because that manhole with the flow meter's gonna sit right by the well house. He's gotta run control line in, cause there's gonna be the readout inside the well house for that flow meter.
Mhm.
And then also was gonna put that sampling tap in there also inside.
Now, will you need like Rick up there to oversee that project?
Well, we've been sending I mean, if we know they're working, we'd send somebody up just to kinda check on them too. I mean, it's okay, Rick, yeah, you know, kinda more of the day-to-day or,
Here's the thing that we deal with, just like we talked to Dave about, if our guys don't go there and look and see what's going on, then we have to pay the engineer to send a guy up to do it. So, you know, we try to do that as much as we can.
but
Obviously,
actually, I
with
think
the
on this job,
day-to-day.
Chris, I think we gave you guys a cap, I think, on
Cap.
ours.
And that's exactly what we're gonna do from now on with every contract with an engineer, we're gonna put a cap on that.
Yeah, cause that.
And,
also,
and Dave's exactly right. You don't know how it's gonna run,
No,
so
you
you'd like
don't.
to have that hourly.
Yeah.
Right,
But I think most cities want it capped. So I mean,
Yeah.
we're still, I mean, we're not, just because we're over our cap, we're not gonna not send somebody up. I mean, we still want somebody up here to make sure it's done.
yeah, it's
Even
it's your work, so.
Even though we're over the cap, I mean, we still gotta certify it to DNR. And I think we've been over that cap for a while, but like I said, we still gotta send somebody up here to make sure, cause we still gotta certify it to the DNR that it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe, a deal's a deal, huh?
Well, that's the way we look at it, I mean.
Yeah.
See, in the contract that we've got with Sunquist, is it,
Towards it.
how's that worded, Joe? It says not to exceed
Correct,
a certain amount of money.
that's,
And we didn't have that same contract with Sunquist.
Yeah, see, I didn't.
From
like
now
that.
on, if we have an engineer, we will have those words in there,
Me
not
with
to
Dave.
exceed.
You had it with, Snyder.
Snyder, yeah, not
See,
Snyder,
that-
Sunquist,
that
I'm
bugs
sorry,
me when
Joe.
you see that over-
and like I said, I
when
mean,
it
as
should
an
be there.
engineer, you don't, just for what Dave said, you don't know how long it's gonna get drug out,
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, and
that's
sometimes
what
you can't-
happens, and
sometimes
then
you can't
gotta
help
just
that.
figure about what do you think it's gonna take.
It might take less and then they got advantage too. There's two sides of that deal, going up or down.
Well, no, usually if you put a not to exceed by the hour to a not to exceed number, that's gonna be the city's benefit all the way, because if it goes over, you're not gonna go over that. If it goes under, they should only charge you
X amount.
per hour.
right.
Up to
Right,
what they ask,
you know, so if they didn't spend it all, you should only get charged for that.
get charged for it.
So yeah, not to exceed's not so good for us, but it's good for you guys. You know, hourly up to.
Questions for Joe?
I only have one request, and I know they'd kinda like to come in and do this job all at once, but for sure, if they get that meter and get that set up and get that all
Get that
tidied
graded
up
down there, yeah.
so we can get our stuff all moved back, and
That'd be nice.
so one of these days, the DNR is gonna walk down there, and then we're gonna see another thing like this again, so.
Plus, you guys are gonna be working here pretty soon,
Mhm.
so.
I was more worried about the DNR showing up and,
Yeah.
come and look at things
And-
anyway.
Good
One
point,
thing on this
good
well,
point.
she got a pump part-time down there and part-time there, we're gonna have a switch back and forth, or how we doing that?
It's set up in the controls that it'll alternate.
To alternate,
Yep.
okay. That way you're using both wells a little bit.
Right. I think each time it calls to run, I think it alternates.
Will it?
I'll verify that for sure
I
with.
thought that's what
That
you
should,
said.
that's a good way to do it, I think.
Each time it calls.
That makes sense.
Because when we didn't do all the work, you know, we ran into that where do you stop down at the plant, and then it turned out to be a lot of money, so then we scaled it back. So I think that was one thing we said we had to have, and so he's got a little, I think he's still gonna put a little antenna receiver down there at the plant, so that can talk back and forth and alternate.
Makes sense. Yeah, you don't want them sitting there empty, for months.
Right.
You wanna utilize them,
Well, they require you to
run it,
run them periodically,
right, that's,
pretty much the same amount. We haven't done that for years because that one just wouldn't keep up, but we would exercise it once in a while.
Anything else, Rick? Anything else, council?
And I know at some point too, we're gonna have to get I've talked to Dave about that, you know, there will be a change order on that for what we had to do for the DNR as far as getting that air release valve above the 100-year flood elevation. And then also adding that sample tap inside the, Dave never did give me a number yet on that, I guess, but. I
Is
mean,
that at the
probably-
well site?
Yeah, at well house, they were gonna, as they run that cord in for the readout for the flow meter, then also had to just run some 3/4 copper in, and then put a sample just attached to the wall inside there so you can pressure gauge and sample. Spigot.
Joe, did we do a change order for that dirt yet that they ran into?
No, I don't think he ever did it. Cause
So-
he never hauled the, I don't think he took to what has to go to the landfill yet, so he doesn't know how many tons he has there.
Yeah, and they, I know they're either getting ready to do that or they've done that, cause I talked to Megan the other day, she was asking me questions about whose dirt it was and that kind of thing, so, I don't know if we talked to these guys about that or not, but while they were digging, they hit a dump site, I guess what you'd say, and it had oil and.
Filters and everything, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had stuff in it that the DNR didn't like, so they made us set that in the pile, and then we gotta take that down to Carroll to hazardous waste site, and so that's gonna be an extra cost.
Did you
So
ever check, Joe, on that high price pipe going through there? Was that the normal $60 a foot? Was that-
Yeah, see,
was
then
that
we had to
legal?
put special pipe through that area too. You can't use PVC because that oil will leach into the PVC, get into the water. You had to use ductile iron, and they had to be nitro gaskets
well,
to
that's
make
what
sure
it
that
was.
it doesn't come in and contaminate.
It was $60 a foot.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think just the gaskets alone add a lot to it. You know, I think he was within reason. I think when we were talking
Well,
that
you
night.
talked
I think he
about,
was-
you said you're gonna check on it.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you did check on that.
I'll double check. I mean, like I said, he's got to have a change order coming with it. But it's just one of those things. Like I said, it just. And I suppose, Chris, what was it? 70 feet, I think. Maybe,
Oh no, Joe, I think it was 100.
It's 130 or 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably was
I was thinking half. Yeah,
Come out of the
130,
tractor.
140.
It was close to 140 feet, I think.
Have to be almost.
But I'll have to get caught up on that with that and the sample tap and that information. I don't know if he's just been so busy at trying to finish up other places too.
So will you be here at our next meeting then, Joe?
Yeah, when is that?
23rd,
Second.
2nd?
Second.
22nd.
Yeah, I will check to make sure I should be. And I'll talk to Dave in the meantime to see if we get something from him.
Well, you said that meter will be in, so I don't know if they'll get it installed or
Yeah.
not, but
If it's in by then we
Yeah.
can kind of start closing some things out.
that's what I was kinda hoping for, yeah. Okay, any other questions for Joe? Rick, you got anything?
Just wait, Rob.
What's the password?
Shouldn't you get in the back door?
Okay,
Rob.
that's all I've got, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
I got something though, Joe. You could dry it up for us.
What's that?
You could dry it up for us.
Oh yeah, ain't that something? Sounds like what, tomorrow afternoon we get blasted pretty good?
Sounds like
Possibly Tuesday.
tomorrow night into
Did you guys get
Wednesday.
hammered? Did you guys get hammered today with that
No.
slush wave? I guess it just.
Storm Lake did.
Yeah.
From I got powdered.
I think we
Pounded.
were, Dennison, I think, was right on the south edge of it. We had one of our guys up there, they're resurfacing that E16 going to Mapleton, doing inspection for the county. And he said it just let loose, you couldn't hardly see. Right now.
South Sioux City said they got half an inch in half an hour.
Well, I don't know, Carol got a good shot down there in about a half an hour a day. You couldn't see it.
If you can continue on, discuss and approve resolution 2014-14. I need to talk to Joe out. It's a resolution stating the following official sub-signatories to set account at Westside Bank. And each account requires 2 signatures. Discussion, I'll be right back.
The only reason this is on here is because we took Lacey off of this account. So that's the only change to this. So not a lot of discussion there. You guys can go ahead and approve that.
All we gotta do is approve it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I make a motion to accept resolution 2014-14.
I'll second it.
I guess I can say we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay.
Resolution, do we have to roll call? I'm just asking, to be honest.
I'm glad you got here.
Yeah, we probably do have to roll call. So, roll call. Rob,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Franny,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Okay. And we can do the same exact thing for the next one. But this one, the reason why this one's in here is if you look at the bottom of that resolution where it says checking 60+ group, Ed Ryder was on that. And the bank has asked us to put somebody else on. The 60+ group wants to just leave the 3 people that are on there right now. So that's the only reason that one's on there, to remove Ed Ryder, so.
I'd make a motion we approve 2014-15 resolution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2014-15. Roll call vote. Rob,
Yes.
Gary,
Yeah.
Francis,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Okay?
I did the other one, Steve, and I messed up.
Didn't go. You didn't do a roll call?
I didn't do a roll call.
Oh,
But
no.
Rob caught me. Rob caught me, and
Attaboy.
so we did it right.
That's my pro tem.
Oh, boy, it was just a time.
Okay. Discuss approve police chief recommendation to paint yellow curbs.
Franny, do you want to take this one, or should
I
I?
sure can. Yeah, this has gone on long enough. It's time we quit being kids and let's be adults. And
Right, and I completely agree with Franny. What we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the curbs yellow, we're gonna put some signs up there, and whoever parks there is gonna get towed. We're not giving tickets, we're just gonna tow.
Oh, we're talking about the cul-de-sac?
We're talking about the cul-de-sac between Highland and 7th Street, yep.
Yes!
Teddy wrote a letter.
Said that a long time ago.
You and I talked about it how long?
And what I'll do is send them a letter, send everybody that lives in the cul-de-sac a letter that says exactly this right here, plus what I just said, that if you park there, we're gonna tow you.
Including trailers.
And you got
It
that.
doesn't matter what it is.
Okay.
How far are we painting it?
well, we might have to extend it down in front of Tommy's a little bit, otherwise they'll try to cheat and get out there too. I can already see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
I can see them down near the cul-de-sac fighting.
So if somebody comes to your
So you
house.
come around-
If somebody comes to your visit, you
Up.
can't, nobody can stop and visit with you. Friends come, you're just, they gotta move someplace else.
That's right, you're gonna have to walk.
If they get out of there,
Huh?
You got driveway.
Sometimes you got a lot of people coming to you for Christmas, you don't have room in your driveway, you ever have that trouble?
No.
Well, maybe you don't know nobody comes to Christmas.
No.
Well, you know, Gary,
I know.
we've tried to be white people about this, and they don't want to play by the rules.
I know what you're up against, I'm just saying, this is what we're running into
We
now.
can always change it if they decide to play together, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
If we have
You
somebody
think-
else has a problem,
You
do the
think Franny would
same
help if
thing.
you send them, if you
No.
don't straighten
No.
up, we're
It won't
gonna
help.
do this?
No.
Gary, we already
No.
did that.
Already
We've done that.
We've tried
We've done
that.
everything.
We've
I know
done
we
that.
have, I've been there, I was up there the other day with him.
My concern
Well,
is,
let's just vote on it.
yeah, I make a motion we paint the curb yellow.
I second it.
I beat him.
Well, let's
Well,
back up a minute.
We got a first and a second, now we can have some discussion.
Correct. Let's back up a second, because we gotta put, how far are we gonna go? Are we gonna go up to Gary Schmitz's line, property line? And we gotta kinda get it close. I mean, we don't have to be exact. I mean,
I think
It's
it
gonna
should,
migrate out from it. I think we need,
Well,
I think just we need to do everything on the circle.
right to the property line of the next, of their property.
Yeah, but Dwayne will just park over in Gary's property, isn't that part of the cul-de-sac too?
Yeah,
No. Well,
There ain't much
Well,
room there.
there ain't much there for a cul-de-sac to Gary.
I don't think so.
There's 5 feet.
Enough to get the vehicle car in there, I'll bet though.
I don't think
You
you.
know, most of them's on there.
I'd say we paint the whole cul-de-sac.
I say
And if they
Almost
continue to move off from that, we're just gonna keep painting
anything that
curbs.
has an arced curb on it, we need to paint.
Yep, yeah.
So even across the intersection.
If we have to.
I think we should, Rick, because if they park on that corner, that's gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, geez, how far can you go, guys? I don't know.
Yeah, but I've
That's
seen-
an arc curb right there.
I've seen JR park his,
It's sad it's
trailer
come- it's sad
way
it's
out.
come to this, but there's no changing.
Yeah, they're right. I mean,
I don't have any sympathy for anybody there.
Well, no, I don't.
and if they get to where they wanna play by the rules, and we can go up and paint it white again, and we can all be good people about it, but still then,
yeah, we can rescind the ordinance.
It's
Yeah, we
not-
get painted, we have to.
Okay, gonna amend that motion a little bit to paint the cul-de-sac up at 7th and Highland, the complete circle of the cul-de-sac.
Anywhere there's an arc curb.
Anywhere where there's an arc curve, whatever Rob said. Now I need a second.
Now what about on the other side of the street?
Well, let's wait on that first.
I think it needs to be painted.
I think we should wait on the other
Yeah.
side. You can't block everything.
Then
You
better
can't
put
park there
that in
anyway.
there.
It'd be too dangerous.
It's a road.
you're on a corner.
You're on a
Understand
corner, but
that.
they'll try, so we ought to paint that yellow too.
I think, I agree with Al.
I do too. I do too.
We better
Do
paint
it
that
once, do it
across the
right.
street. On that curve, that better be painted too.
Do it once and do it right.
Yeah,
I'd make the motion.
To complete
Both sides of the arc.
both sides,
both sides.
both sides.
I'll
Or
second it.
or amendment, whatever you want.
And it's
to
been
call it.
seconded. Roll call vote. Rob?
Yes, yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Franny?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amended it.
Kinda.
Or
Yeah,
something.
it was amended. Discuss DGR electric system study.
What's,
So-
what's DGR stand for? Damn good retirement? or what?
No, it's
You
not
hope
insurance.
that's what it is.
DeWild grant and something, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
What?
Record.
Record? So, I mean, I don't know what other to say about this than, you know, this is what the engineer's, suggesting, and everything in here is underground. He's really suggesting underground. And a couple of the things that him and I talked about, were, can we accomplish this without a contractor? He thought we could do most of it without a contractor, but he was concerned with the timetable that it would take. He thinks that we need to hire a contractor for parts of it. Him and I talked a little bit about our budget. So, you know, we're gonna talk about this a lot more tomorrow at noon. Basically, the reason why I wanted this on here is so that you guys could look through it, you know, get your questions out now.
tomorrow.
And then we can ask them tomorrow. We can have them kind of written out and ask them and, you know, kind of have an orderly meeting.
Myron, you got any additions?
Myron has not
I have not seen it.
seen this.
Okay.
Well, I looked the numbers over, we're definitely gonna have to raise rates. If the numbers come in like these at. It's about $3 million project.
And then what's the time period that they expect to get this done in?
Unless we get you to do it.
That
$2
all,
million is where that's at.
that all depends,
Every
Ron.
year you delay, it goes higher.
Huh?
Every year you delay, it goes higher.
Yeah,
I know, but whether you can do it yourself or whether we gotta hire a contractor, big item.
The
And we don't have the money for that, that's the hell of it.
page 4, Ron, phase 1 should start 2015. Phase 2 and 16, 3 and 17, 4 and 18. That's if we hire it all done. If we hire it all done, it's a $3.2 million
That's
project.
doing everything underground, the whole town.
There's gotta be a 40% difference in price.
He says there's 5.
I don't believe that. But then I don't know nothing.
I wouldn't say you don't know nothing. You might not know as much as this guy does.
I understand that.
There's only 5% difference in underground versus overhead?
Yeah.
That's what it says right here.
Yeah,
Underground
what
costs are
Bob
roughly
means here,
5%
he
higher
says
than
there's
overhead.
40% difference.
For 5%, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that, if that's all it is, I can't believe that, but.
I don't either.
Myron?
To me, 5 sounds low. To me, 40% would be, if 40 is, whoever said 40 would be more accurate. Wire, underground wire is a heck of a lot higher than overhead. You're paying for poles and other hardware that you're not paying for on underground, but underground wire is higher.
Yeah, and you're boring on a lot, we gotta do a lot of boring.
Boring, trenching, yeah.
Well, then
That's we don't
this
own
guy
boring
might be
machines,
just
we're
trying
talking
to sell
different deal.
underground.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to sell underground or not, but he's pretty intent on having it underground. I mean, if you think about it, you know, you got no issues in an ice storm. You got no issues with trees.
Yes.
You got no issues with people hitting a pole.
Still have
You just
lightning.
got hitting just hitting the
Lighting.
boxes off.
Still have lightning.
Lightning. Oh, lightning. Sure. Yeah.
Lightning.
Can't get away from that.
Lightning can still get into underground.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't get
yeah.
away
That
from
keeps it
that.
worse.
Had it twice.
You know,
on
the issue you have there
right
is-
on the ground.
If you've got a short somewhere, it's gonna be tougher to find.
Right.
That's the drawback to it.
Yeah, I think the two drawbacks to underground are the cost and finding the fault.
Fault finding.
And boring,
There,
like you said, boring is high.
there's several positives to it.
But you go to a lot of these
But, you know,
cities, we're,
if
they're
you-
only used about the only one in the country that's got underground.
If you look at it from an ice storm standpoint, and I've lived here 19 years and I don't know that I've ever lost my power due to an ice storm or
Right.
anything that happened in Wall Lake.
Yeah, we had a
I
hailstorm.
mean, if you still cut our
You're
line
still gonna-
coming in, it doesn't matter if you're underground or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Still overhead
So-
coming in.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't, undergrounds might be okay, but I don't know if I wanna go all underground.
I think there's
Well,
some places for
Down
underground.
where
but I
we're
don't-
at, like there's underground coming down from Twilight Acres down to, the football field, or to the baseball field. I mean, that's easy to put in underground because it's already in there. I mean, we could come down pretty easy. But then maybe we gotta go up and come down the baseball field and then go overhead or something. Some places we can do underground, I think makes some sense. And some places we maybe gotta stay overhead, I don't
Some
know.
places you may not be able to go underground. Like
Yeah.
Behind City Hall here, back in the alleys where it's all.
Yeah, why- you'd be tearing everything up, you know.
I just think we need some new poles and some new overhead wire, and we'd be a lot better off. Instead of trying to put this underground, because I don't agree with his 5%. I don't think he's right on that.
Well, that's the first time we've been told that small a number.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that.
Yeah, and him and I
Always
discussed
before-
that.
Always before, it's been a lot more.
It's usually
Bob
about
Means always
30
says
to
40%.
35, somewhere in there, yeah.
But I don't mean he knows everything, I'm just saying that was his take.
And he's saying, if you have a contractor come in and do it overhead, or if you have a contractor come in and do it underground.
And if we get
Got the
another
labor
electrician, we
costs.
should be able to do.
400,000 for labor
overhead
costs, that first
ourselves.
phase, that seems like a lot of money.
The thing that we have to remember, and this doesn't concern you guys nearly as much as it does Rick and I, the thing that we have to remember is once we get into this thing, Myron can't be doing anything other than just this. Myron and whoever he's got working with him.
Yeah, him and his helper.
He can only be doing this right here.
Yep.
And like I said, that doesn't concern you guys as much as it does Rick and I, because what happens when,
Garbage and.
you know, we have
something else, or
a
water leak
water
or-
main leak or
Yep.
something and we're a guy short, you know? We can't just go get Myron and say we need help, you know? So,
But Myron, we're gonna have to run, all the stuff in to start with, the 12.5, before we can switch it over to, from 2400, right?
I don't know where he's starting. Is he starting at the sub on his report or what?
No,
No.
he's straight up here by 12 acres, I think, right?
Coming across.
Yeah.
Straight
Going,
down here and then come down.
going
Because
south.
to me, you
But-
can't switch it over to the others till we get all the infrastructure put in first, I would think.
Well, if he's coming off of Twilight Acres 12.5 and coming down, is he coming down that west alley,
The cookies.
Cookies Alley? Yeah.
Lose some?
Chris, is he talking about doing a 12.5 rebuild right beside the 2400?
yeah.
Is that what his
Yeah.
plan is?
Yeah.
So you get that done first before you
Let him
Yeah,
talk,
it's
Gary.
just a
Switch it
matter,
over.
Let him
it's
talk,
just a matter
Gary.
of building the 12.5 and converting services over and then chop 2,400 off.
Yeah. And what Paul has told me is that when we do that conversion, we'll probably need somebody to come in and help with that. Otherwise, that'll take forever.
Because you gotta have all the transformers already set and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
when you start shutting stuff off, yeah, you're gonna have people off for quite a while. If you don't
Right.
have a bunch of people there to help out and do this and that.
So that's when we're gonna talk about having contractor, help,
Get some extra
whatever,
help.
whatever it is, mutual aid, if we can use mutual aid, maybe, I don't know if that'll work, but something other than just two guys doing that part.
Would you guesstimate how many people it would require, Myron?
I have not seen his plan,
No.
so I can't.
Guys, this is the reason why we hired DGR. I mean, Myron's the guy who's gonna hook it up. DGR is the guys they're gonna tell us how to do it, okay? So those questions are what we need to ask Paul tomorrow, I think.
Okay. Any other thing to discuss? Questions, concerns?
I think a question or a concern, whatever you wanna call it, is the equipment. If we're gonna talk about going overhead, then we need a digger truck. If we're gonna talk about going underground, then we're probably gonna need some sort of a trencher, and we may still need a digger truck anyway.
We need a boring deal too, unless we're gonna hire somebody to bore it underneath.
Myron, give them your thoughts on that.
My opinion of boring is, you got a guy that is a boring contractor, you let him have it, let him do it. Cause he
Because-
knows what he's doing,
Because he knows what he's doing.
That's his insurance.
that's his insurance, and you just don't buy a boring machine
And just
and
take
go
off.
to it. No,
Right.
it takes years of experience to learn to run them.
So the $7 a foot or whatever they're gonna charge us to do that is gonna be cheap compared to us buying a boring machine and then having somebody to figure out how to use it.
Not only that, what you
Like
got
you
Buy a
to
boring
do
machine,
yourself,
but you
you
might end
can
up
do
going
more
for somebody's
damage than
basement
what.
before you figure out how to run it.
Like you bought a big high price.
We hope that doesn't happen.
Right, Chris? Like you bought a big boring machine, turned up selling it, and
Yeah.
everybody run it.
Yeah.
Now, if we trench, will that be
Making
three
sense,
separate trenches?
They wouldn't
Or
just
can
by
it all
having
go in
that.
one trench?
You're talking about for three-phase,
Yeah.
same trench. Just like we're doing in the development right now, 3 phases in the same trench.
Okay.
The only thing about trenching is, and I don't know if he's going out front, out back, I have no idea.
We haven't made any decisions
We haven't
yet.
even talked about that
No.
yet. But no matter, we're just gonna pick on Cookie's Alley up there, for example. We know that there's primary in there, we know that there's secondary that goes up and goes across the alley, stuff like that. There's also fiber up there, and
Gas?
Gas is in the front,
gas is in the front.
everything else is in the back,
So
so.
if you're trenching, you have to come up, expose that service, fiber line, whatever it is, get on the other side, keep on going. If you do it out front, you gotta come up, find that gas service, keep on going down the line.
You'll be
find the
running
next gas
parallel
service,
to the gas service in
keep
the
doing it
front.
again. So you're gonna have the same no matter which way you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to expose the stuff when you come up to it and take off and go again. If you're boring it, you're gonna have to expose it by potholing or whatever method to make sure that they don't hit it with boring. Again, you gotta expose all the stuff. So,
That's where the overhead looks a little better.
Well, and that to me makes the underground cost just rise.
Well, when we look at this, I guess I look at, stay underground where we're underground, or if we need to go overhead there, it's not a big deal, but where we're overhead, stay overhead, because even if we go underground, we have to put a pole up or else trench to the house. It's just gonna be a lot more work.
That,
Trench every house.
they say that's the biggest cost of going underground is the services to the houses.
And you gotta change all that.
and on an underground system, you may not have every house converted to underground
Mhm.
because of somebody's got a big cement patio or
Yep.
they've got the thing buried in the side of the house, pinned between the
Yep.
house and the
Can't
garage,
get
and
to
you can't
it.
get to it.
Yep.
And that, unfortunately, that was just gonna have to stay overhead, and we're gonna have to get to wherever that pole, where it came from, go from there underground, up that pole, and then overhead back to that house.
See, I think that's a lot of the issues we're gonna run into, trying to go underground or the overhead.
So then, we need to be thinking about, and it sounds to me like we've got a pretty good idea right now of what we wanna do, either underground or overhead. Kinda
It would
sounds,
really help us if we say we know where we're going, and maybe go up and look it over herself a little bit, or maybe have somebody that got a little idea of, or would that make any difference? You gotta, you know, like take
you know,
him and somebody would know.
Instead of doing that, maybe let's just think about what Franny said. If we're underground, let's stay underground. If we're overhead, let's stay overhead. Maybe,
overhead.
you know,
That's what
unless it makes a lot of sense to go underground in some places.
Right.
I can't imagine that it would make sense to go from underground to overhead anywhere.
No, not in the underground systems you have currently.
And I
Because
know
you
like our alley, should be able to put the line on the other side and get that in.
So what do we have, third underground, 2/3 overhead? Rough
I would
figure?
say that'd be
Sound about
close.
right?
Close.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, like in our end of town, there's no, you're in behind the, you know, like behind us, and there's no garages, no cement, no nothing. You can trench right down through there without having the issue of hitting all that stuff.
Fiber's still
There's
there.
fiber in there though. Yeah, you got fiber, but
But if you're already in an underground system like up at Gary's or up like,
yeah.
north of Mom's or back in there, whatever, no, you don't go put an overhead back in that system.
I wouldn't
You
think
just
so.
stay underground in there.
You know, like already, you know, it goes to that big trench, former, and shoot 5-6 houses come out of there.
Yeah.
So, you know, then it's, I mean, you're not having the trench the whole
Can-
backyard.
Can you
so-
foresee, Myron, where we could go from overhead to underground if it's possible? Would that be better?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I ain't sure neither what you.
I mean, that is a possibility anywhere, but
Yeah, I know, but I
is it
mean,
feasible?
is it more feasible to go underground that way then?
It just works.
This guy says it only costs 5%.
Yeah, I understand, Rob.
Yeah, but I disagree with
Leave that one alone.
If you'd guarantee us
The
that.
question is like if you're going down,
You won't do
pick
that.
on Albert's Alley, for example. If you're gonna do an overhead rebuild beside it, like we talked about, swapping it to the other side. You're building right parallel with it and it's just a swapping over. If you're doing the underground, yeah, you're never gonna have to worry about the trees,
Mhm.
ice storms, things like that back into it again. But
You gotta get under
there's
the,
so many things to look at. It's
you
not,
gotta get under the alley.
you gotta get under the alley, you gotta.
Well, I'm just saying, is
Every
it,
driveway that pulls in there, you gotta go out the board.
is it feasible if you looked at it and say, you know what? There ain't a whole lot back here, there ain't the fiber back here, there ain't nothing back here, there ain't no gas, no nothing. It'd be better if we put the underground in and do away with the overhead. But I can understand if there's gonna be congestion or what have you, that you wanna stay with the
The
overhead.
big problem we deal with there is running that service to the house, because now we have to go underground to the house.
Mhm.
And that's where the biggest issues are gonna be at.
Yeah, with the
And
concrete
expense.
patio deck and all that kind
And
of
then
shit.
you got the fiber optics, you got everything running there, so you gotta get somebody,
Everything's in the back alley back there.
yeah.
I just think we need to go overhead where it's overhead, like Franny says, underground where it's underground, and leave good enough alone.
So then the questions, you know, I mean, that's one thing that we need to know is everybody okay with going overhead where it's overhead and underground where it's underground? And then we kinda have our next question answered. Do we need to get a trencher or a digger truck? If we're gonna do that, we definitely need to get a digger truck.
I think we need a digger truck, I think we
I
can start
think it's
looking for
gonna
that.
cost
If
too
that's-
much to go
you think
underground down
that's all
our
right?
alleys.
Your digger truck shot, right?
That's what I
It's not
think.
legal.
Wouldn't put it around
Right.
a high voltage line at all.
Right.
Like the one out behind, would it be difficult to go along the railroad tracks, that line, or, you know, between,
Well, you might better trench one there,
Yeah.
Rob. That might work
Yeah.
back behind there, I don't know.
I guarantee the railroad owns way more property there than we ever even thought of. And
We might be on their
we're gonna
property
be-
now.
We were gonna deal with the railroads.
We are
Digging
on
one
their
hole is way
property.
better than digging a trench.
Yeah.
We are on their property.
You know,
Yeah.
if you understand the
It goes
railroad,
all the way up
Fred,
to the lumberyard.
I understand the railroad, all right.
we've been there.
Because I think my alley, well, shit, there's that, what do you call that thing that goes, it's a cistern or whatever it is?
Storm sewer?
The big storm sewer comes through there.
Yeah, it's an abandoned one though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't,
just a tile line then?
yeah, it's a tile line. Never thought about that. See, that
We
goes
got
up.
plenty of those in our neck of the
We
woods.
got enough of them over there.
We don't even know
My
they're
sump
there.
pump just keeps it pumping.
Mine's been there for years and years. Bruce Payson told me he used to crawl up there when he was a kid.
I
We
did
got that
too.
line that runs under Karma's old house there, you know, nobody knows where that came from.
See, so you couldn't go underground to my house, unless you went clear under that.
And I think
Well-
overhead where it's overhead, underground where it's underground.
So then that's good, then
Pretty
we,
much, I think there's a couple of places that.
We got
Yeah,
some-
yeah.
There'll be some.
You can look it over, it won't take you long to know which is gonna be a better deal.
But I just think your underground's gonna cost you a heck of a lot more than 5% less, more than what overhead.
Well, let's save your questions for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think part of that cost is bringing the crew in, you know, you got so much just a setup fee or whatever it's called, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. And then he would want a commission, I mean, you gotta, he'll want to,
We don't need to do
charge.
that in quite a bit of this, I don't think, if we get a second person that's capable.
Well, that's what I think, we got enough. we
And it
can
may
do.
take longer than 3 years, I understand that, and prices do go up, I understand that
we can
also.
start buying wire, and get some stuff bought, you know.
Okay, let's move on. Make sure you get your questions tomorrow, and don't forget about noon tomorrow. DGR will be here. Discuss NMPP electrical cost increase. Chris?
this thing's longer than I thought it was.
27.
Where it is.
So, I got an email, August 28th. And did I talk to you guys about, I think I talked to you about this at the last meeting.
You
But I
know
didn't
the
have,
prices
I didn't have this information yet. But I did tell you that they lost $2.4 million in the second quarter. So what they're gonna do is they're going to, instead of implementing the increase that they were gonna increase in April, they're gonna move it up to November. And that's basically on demand. So what we're gonna do at our next meeting is we're gonna increase our demand cost from $8.45 to $8.75, something like that. It's not a huge deal. Their cost is going to go from $9.90 or something like that to this $10.59. You look on page 33. Their winter season demand is going to be $10.59 a kilowatt, and it was like $9.99 or $9.50, something like that. That increase is going to change our cost for our demand from $8.45 or whatever we're charging now to $8.75. But we'll have that on the next meeting, and that won't be effective until November 1st, because that's when this is going to be effective. So so that'll, you know, the guys who are going to be on demand, that's going to change their cost a little bit, but it won't be significant. That won't be a huge deal for them. Basically, I wanted to have this on here so you guys could see, you know, that one more time we're going to get punched right in the nose. They're having a meeting on September 25th in Lincoln. I'm scheduled to be in Council Bluffs that day, but I'm thinking about skipping that meeting and going to this one. That's the Iowa League of Cities big meeting, and you know, that's a really good meeting to go to, but this one may be more important.
I'd probably go for what day it is, depending on, I wouldn't mind going.
It's a Thursday, it's the 25th.
Sometime, I think we just gotta show up and
September
put our
25th.
concerns in, because
Well,
we're running into a
if
lot
you see
of,
something you want me to pick up down there at Council Bluffs for you, I can go to that meeting and pick up whatever you need.
Yeah, well, I've got my day all circled already, so I'll just give you that, and I think I'm gonna go to this, because I'm gonna go to that Wednesday, but I'll probably go to this one on Thursday. I think I just want to get there, see what a meeting's like, and maybe meet some people, because I did go through our, and on page 36 you can see what our you can see everybody that's a member of Mean, their demand volume, I guess you call it, for lack of a better word.
Put a view and rotate there, Gary.
for, then that's by the month. And so I went
Go to view and rotate.
I went to, you wanna go clockwise? I went and I looked at every single one of these customers, and I went back to 2010 and 11, and
There's your mom's. There he is.
none of these customers' demand has changed monthly. But if you look at the first and second column, summer and winter peak, there were a handful to a dozen customers whose winter peak went from 15,000 down to 10,000. Just like ours went from 1,800 down to 1,400 or whatever it was. I can't remember, maybe it was 1,500 down to 1,100. So there are a handful of customers whose demand has gone down just like ours has.
Mhm.
They're still getting billed at the same amount they were back in 2011, and I would guess, you know, since they were a member back then too. So these are the people who we need to talk to. You know, the towns who, and Fonda's one of them. Fonda, Iowa's one of them. So we need to talk to these people, and we need to say, hey, you know, this is what's going on.
We need to lower that, it being our demand down, we should have a break.
I see Breeda's in there too.
Breedy's in there. I don't know where their demand has gone from 4 years ago to today, but it could have easily gone down too. I don't know. So nothing that we need to do there, just information.
Yep. Just an FYI. Any other questions, concerns, discussion?
I will bring back whatever information I get from that meeting too.
Discuss and approve family fitness pass for council members and mayor.
Oh, I forgot the mayor.
I didn't.
I'd make the motion that that'd be a benefit for the city council and.
Should we
mayor
say-
and
should we
city
say-
employees.
An elected official.
Yeah, that's good. All the above.
Second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to
Turn it
approve
away.
a famous fitness pass for all elected officials. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Discuss the letter from Dave Jennett concerning Russ Kroger. And you can read that.
I gotta go to counterclockwise again. Yeah, I talked to, Warren actually got this before we did here. And he brought it over and he said, read this and call me and talk to me. And so I read it, called him, and he said, send me the ordinance. Told him what our ordinance said. He said, send it to me. And then he wanted us to discuss it here. So we had, so you guys saw it. The one thing that I didn't like about this letter was has shown pictures of the nuisance. I don't remember seeing any pictures
Never had pictures.
here, which, you know, I don't know if it's a big deal or not. We've all seen it. We know what they're talking about. I don't know what they can do. I guess Warren's gonna have to let us know, you know. So,
Is he investigating this or delving into this?
Yes.
And
yep.
So-
He wanted to see our ordinance and see what it said, and he got that late
so he
last
can
week.
give us a recommendation on what we need to do.
Right.
Gary, you got
As far
anything?
as the eating worse in the winter, that's because they're unplugged. So that has nothing to do with what's going on there in the winter. So we unplug it.
Yeah. So.
What about for any, of course, we got some damage water in it right now. Would it work if a guy would run her at night, let her off during the day, or
What the hell they put
a
it in
timer?
for?
A
Just
timer,
like-
yeah, but do
just
you have
like-
water, do you have water in the
That wasn't the
basement?
reason they put it in, and we have an ordinance that covers
I
that.
know, but do you have water in the basement?
Yeah, they have water in their basement.
Yeah, but lately,
Yes, this last storm, they had water in their basement.
I'm sure there's water in the basement.
Yeah, they had
the
to.
pump, that didn't even handle that.
Well, I'm sure what happened is it came up halfway up in the curb, it just pushed it right back at the pipe.
Oh, it was full.
I know it did.
There was a hell of a lot of water there.
So,
Do
My
you think
neighbor's
she would
got
pump around
one
really?
too, and he had
Yeah,
water in his
that's what he
basement.
said.
So. So I think what we need
water
to
in
do.
my basement because we don't have the storm sewer in yet.
You pump yours out too? You get a little water too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get 2 inches of water in an hour. My house becomes an island.
Well, I had lakefront property too, but it went away.
And if we try to do what they're proposing here, the first time we go to move snow, that's gonna disappear, so.
Trouble is, the guy could run her to the back end, but there's so much water there that I think if water got done, it probably ain't clear my house in between the houses. There is, you know, it would come down
I know it would.
good. I mean, we're pumping steady. I mean, it just, but I guess it would stay in the, you know, coming down towards my house. You know, if it went to the inside instead of the outside.
Then we're dealing with the same thing, the neighbors' backyards are all gonna be wet.
Yeah,
And whose
I
fault's that
think
gonna
it
be?
will.
They're
I
gonna
think
point
it
the
will.
finger at us, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I
could
was
happen,
like,
because we're pumping a lot of water.
some pump there where I live, they had an 8-foot pipe on it. And I could, my golly, the thing hardly ever shut off. So I thought, I'm gonna try and run that out another 10 foot. That helped considerably, because then it would shut off. And that's what it's doing, it just was,
Backflowing.
it was just back flowing right back into there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I run it out
Should have
further,
to stop.
that helped. Huh?
Should have a blackflow stop.
No, it was just coming back through the ground, right back down in the
right
basement.
back, Okay.
After I got her away from the house further, then it quit
Then
doing
you're
that.
all right.
Well, I got a question for all.
Yeah.
It says Russ advises that his daughter Carol has made this condition known to city council. Has she made it known to everybody
She's
here?
here.
She was here.
She was here.
She was here.
You weren't here that night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was gone.
And has shown pictures of the nuisance.
She didn't show
She
pictures
just
of
went out
it.
here.
Nope, there was no pictures.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
But we've all seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think what we need to do now is wait to see what Warren says and,
Get a response back.
yeah.
Well, we've
we'll-
got there, you know, we've got Lois pumping hers out, and it's gonna be.
We got Jeff Scott.
Jeff Scott's pumping, that's running clear down by there too.
It runs
His is
to
actually going into the.
Marlene, cause I got jumped about that the other day, but that chunk of cement that got broke out and they were cammering that. When that big flood come through, it blew it out, so they don't have to worry about that being there.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna just table that until we hear from Mr. Bush.
The other side of it is if you go up to the top of the, like where Jeff Harry lives and look down, you'll see that it's built in a ravine,
Mm-hmm.
a
Oh, yeah.
washout.
They're in the swamp.
Yeah,
I mean,
water's been flowing there for, I don't know how many thousands.
Now granted, it's gonna help if this city would just kind of frequently go past with the street sweeper. Cause a lot of that that's holding it up there is grass that's in the street.
Yeah, but there's not
Yeah, I
supposed to
mean,
be grass below.
I got
down
leaves
in the
falling on
street.
my tree. I couldn't know where Maple and then land on that.
And
And
Russell's,
land in there and ship pretty
Russell's
soon.
driveway goes out farther
Extends out further, yeah.
and pushes it out into the wide Mississippi. You know, everybody else it runs by like this, but it pushes it out.
Oh, I really think a guy could, cause nobody wants to do that, you get more trouble. You could just cut it with a cement saw and then take out about maybe about that wide and about that deep and it would stay right in that trough. But, I mean, guy could do that. I mean, I'm saying it's a smart thing to do, but you could do it.
Set in there and then.
You
it's
could
gonna
cut it
start-
on his cement, you know, cut and knock that out.
Suggest you take a picture
That'd be
of
one way
his
to
driveway and
keep
see
it in the-
if they
in
put
the-
it and say,
Wouldn't,
this
where it wouldn't be
driveway's
wide,
built
you
out
know.
In the street.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I could do that.
Good idea,
You know.
Rob. That's a very good idea.
I mean, it's
Okay.
making it wider there by a long way.
I tell you
I'm not
what,
opposed to getting through this.
Daryl would cut that about an inch deep and chip her out, that would probably stop her, at least it'd stay in it.
Yeah, then somebody's gotta keep it cleaned out so water, otherwise it's gonna.
Well, within the street sweeper, I usually sweep it out all the time, Franny, but
Yeah, but
even then you can't get,
Street
you know, it's a
sweeper
never
Well-
ending deal, see?
will not get.
How full was the drainage to the storm sewer on my north corner? Can you tell me, Myra? Do you know?
Well, yeah.
Because there's walnuts galore up that way. I had a stream coming down the sidewalk and it turned between my rental house and my house. It was almost to my driveway and it was up to the garage on that and there was water going like a banshee. But I bet I picked up 150 walnuts. And I know they come from that north
I
street.
don't think, Steve, that them two drops here, right there by Baumovers and that deal, the water comes so damn fast, I don't think that could even handle it. And I think she'd come around your corner and down.
The grates were full of leaves.
Yeah, junk in there, see if something.
So-
I mean, it'll still fill up.
And that would stop it.
You know, we had to come between, yeah, sure. We had to come between our house, Phil Kerb's whole backyard, up came across. Newsman went out and opened up his garage, and his garage was this full of water.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah, when he opened up his garage, because it was slapping against the back of his garage and filling it up.
Now, all that junk got in there and just plugged everything up.
Leroy Roller called me at 9 o'clock Sunday morning and said, how much water you got in your basement? None. Oh, you gotta have. Cause when they redid mine, they took the storm or the sewer and they put it in the side of the pipe where it's supposed to go over the top, correct, Myra?
Storm sewer or sanitary sewer?
Sanitary sewer.
Should come in
On the side, don't
somewhat on the side, yeah.
it? Most of it comes on the side.
Kind of
I
a, want
don't
to
even,
be
I should.
a downhill run at it, but it's still mostly in the side.
Mine's direct into the
One
side.
out here, they drive, they come in the top, is that so damn deep?
It's kinda wondered about the
Won't
whole,
drop down. They got
the
trouble.
crickets.
Yeah.
If one-
Discuss letter from Joe Nepple.
Sewer. But if the other one doesn't, it's not.
It's not on the computer.
No, no, it's not. I didn't want it on there.
I haven't seen that
Yeah,
letter.
you did.
I did?
Everybody got one.
Everybody got one.
Everybody got one at the last
Last
meeting.
week.
Last week,
What do you guys think about that?
What's that?
What do you think? I mean,
I think we need to do it.
it's,
And $85 a month is cheap compared to getting in a CPA. And Joe did a really good job. I mean, he was pretty
He's pretty
thorough.
thorough.
Did you locate
Yeah.
some of these?
you,
Huh?
Did you locate any of these checks or the numbers were they?
Yes.
you did fine.
Transposed or whatever, I mean,
Well,
you set the number when you do the
Joe
check.
Napoli did some
Right.
auditing for us,
When we get in a
3-month audit or something.
what is it, a batch of checks, let's call it. We get in, 16, 17 checks. Lynn writes them all down on a little sheet of paper, and she puts the number up on top. What did we do on a couple of those? It's just goofy stuff that happened.
Mistakes, like
But
I
it-
put the amount, I think it was 152, if it was $152.50, I might have put that
As the batch
Check.
number.
as the check
As the
number.
As the batch number. So, it's goofy things like that made those errors. But that's something that I would have never thought of. Why would, if you get money in cash and the computer automatically made a batch number and it's not there, where'd that cash go? That makes an awful lot of sense for us to look for that. And none of those were cash. They were all checks. And so
They're usually not pre-printed, pre-numbered.
no, we have a book. It's like a receipt book, and we put the number up on top of it, and then we put that into our computer, and that's
Oh, I
how
see.
that's how it gets spit out. So I really think we should do it. He's not asking for a contract or anything like that. He just wants to know that he'll get paid $85 a month, and it's one of the suggestions that the auditor had for us. So
One thing about us is it's a third party.
right, he has no ties to the city
Independent,
whatsoever.
yes.
And Joe will do a good job, as you can see from the letter that he wrote. I mean, he did a good job, I thought. So I think we need to do it, and we don't really have to vote on it unless you guys don't want to do it. And then we can.
No, that's fine.
I don't think a second check is a bad thing at all.
No.
We'll track
Everybody
for a
can
while
make
and see how it
mistakes.
works, see if it works out good.
Well, when you get an audit, you got more of a chance, because you already have another person go in and do all your checking on that.
Yeah. I think it's a smart thing.
You don't want a motion?
We can't. I don't have
They don't.
anything about approve. It's just discuss.
Just, I think just do it.
Public forum this Thursday, Templeton, Northwest Iowa League of Cities.
Everybody gets a free bottle.
Yeah, you gotta talk to,
Comes from Indiana.
yeah.
I thought maybe Tennessee.
Warren told me they age it here in Iowa, though, so that makes a difference.
They spent $1.5 million on the Templeton Center. Diane Barron's just can't say enough about it. So, Of course, I definitely will be there, but Chris has gotta know tonight whether you plan on going, because he's gotta turn those numbers in to Adam Ledford tomorrow.
Is it tonight or
Yeah, well, April 9th is tomorrow.
tomorrow?
September 9th, is tomorrow, yeah.
Yes. And the meeting is September 11th. Meeting is September 11th.
Country club. Fiscal
That's
meeting.
Thursday night, your golf night, Rob.
That's golf.
Golf's done.
Golf done.
It's the annual meeting of the country club though.
Your wife's on that, ain't she?
So let Chris know by tomorrow morning, sometime. Definitely a yes for me. Chris, you got anything to add?
Shouldn't even really have to tell Adam that, should I?
No.
No, not that I can think of.
Rob, anything to add? Gary? Myron?
I was gonna ask one thing, have we hired, how are we coming on our, we're still looking for, we got some good avid people for the rebuilding?
Taking until the 12th.
Taking the,
It's Friday.
We've got some people interested in
Oh, yeah.
We had another one call today, so we're still getting.
it. Wasn't my wife, I hope.
Yep.
it could have been. It
No.
could have
Can't say
been.
that in a public meeting, but.
No, it wasn't.
Franny, anything to add?
No,
Albert?
No.
I do have one more thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Rob.
The community center does thank all you guys that came up and helped the other day. That was great. We got that all taken care of.
I just stayed long, but I ripped my pants out and I didn't see anybody else see my
My golf arm was getting sore.
We'll give him the opportunity to get to work tomorrow on it, and hopefully he'll have it completed by the end of the week. So it's a great thing that everybody did, and thank you. And a little bit of cleaning on the dust, but
Yeah,
It's a
but
little bit
we got
dusty.
at least, we got all the surfaces done now, and we're gonna have to probably get the lights and that after we get the floor laid and everything. Get the lights and fans and everything like that up there, but.
Yeah, do the vacuum and do that.
Yeah.
Just turn the fans on real high, that'd take care of it.
You know, I looked at those fans up there, and I thought, we're having our little deal over there, and I thought, wow, we better not turn those on.
Rob, I thought we were lucky we didn't break them windows, so all that wood out. I thought that was a little lucky deal itself.
Mary Linda, anything you wanna add, bring up, discuss? Tell us about? If there's any gossip, I'm gonna ask Gary, so you're in a clear.
I'll make a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Roll call, or no, I guess not a roll call vote here. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay.
Just give him to Barb.
Yeah,
We can't.
I missed the news reporter.